والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار المنتجبين. باسم رابطة الطلاب العراقيين في مدينة نيوكاسل يسرنا أن نرحب بالأستاذ الدكتور موسى الموسوي المستشار في الملحقية الثقافية العراقية في المملكة المتحدة وجمهورية إيرلندا. السادة الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباح النسيم البارد، صباح يتلألأ بفرح اللقاء بكم في جامعة نيوكاسل، إذ نشهد اليوم انعقاد اليوم العراقي تحت شعار مهد الحضارات سيبقى موحدا. أهلا وسهلا حضورنا الكرام. نأمل أن يكون هذا اليوم مرآة تعكس تميز الطلبة العراقيين الساعين في رفع راية العراق عاليا. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Iraqi Student Society in Newcastle, we are pleased to welcome all the Iraqi Culture Counselor, Professor Musa al-Musawi. We are all happy to be with you today here at Newcastle University to celebrate the Iraqi Day under the banner of the Iraq and the slogan, "The cradle of civilization is united." We hope that the Iraqi Day reflects the excellence of the Iraqi students who are seeking to raise the banner of Iraq. موطني ومن غير موطني يستحق الوقوف إجلالا وإكراما. Please stand up for the Iraqi national anthem. Thank you. Now we will listen to verses from Holy Quran recited by Mushtaq al-Najafi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله يدافع عن الذين آمنوا إن الله لا يحب كل خوان كفور. أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وأن الله على نصرهم لقدير. الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بغير حق إلا أن يقولوا ربنا الله ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لهدمت صوامع وبيع وصلوات ومساجد يذكر فيها اسم الله كثيرا ولينصرن الله من ينصره إن الله لقوي عزيز الذين إن مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر ولله عاقبة الأمور آمنت بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you. Please stand up for 1 minute of silence for the Iraqi victims. Thank you. Now I will hand you over to Mr. Ammar, who will give a speech on behalf of Iraqi Student Society in Newcastle.
Dear colleague and honored guests, good morning and peace be upon you. Welcome and thank you for making an effort to participate in the Iraqi Day in Newcastle that is recognized under the slogan, Cradle of Civilization is United. This event is organized by the Iraqi Student Society in Newcastle. This society has been established in January 2014 to represent students from Iraq and provide a social forum for them to come together and help each other. We are here today to celebrate everything that defines and unites us as an Iraqi. With the difficult situation in our home country, these values was never so essential for our existence. Once a respected visitor, Professor Radu Morcleo, said, "You cannot wait for a solution from the top. Your society members from different components should establish a strong links with each other." Thus, I have this child hope, a naive hope, when I see you all here gathered today from different sects and ethnic groups for the love of Iraq. I know you are the solution, because you are the links of this space of the venom, and you are the future leader, the tip of this venom, which will help us get out of this dark tunnel in our history. It is not an option, it is our duty and responsibility to live up to our thousands of years heritage and build a better future for the next generations, our children. This was our society's big vision to provide a forum to establish these links between Iraqis and interact positively with local society here in Newcastle. As you know, there are no better than two strangers share a common homesickness to have the best type of friendships. So these two friends, when they go back, they might convey this message that said beautifully by Martin Luther King, who has an honored degree from this university. He said, "We must live together as brothers, or perish together as fools." At the end of our duty as an elected members to lead this society, we hope we are being successful in this mission. Again, I would like to thank the Iraqi attaché for their enormous support and help to their students in Newcastle, and especially the honored visitor delegation, who is headed by the Chancellor, Professor Musa Al-Musul. Also, I would like to thank Newcastle University to host our society and this event. Our respected keynote speakers, you have our highest appreciation for making this event special with your own touch. Our gratitude to all our colleagues who helped to prepare for this day, or participate in it, and for the respected audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I will leave the stage to Professor Musa Al-Musawi, who will give a speech of the Iraqi Cultural Attaché.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه تعالى نستعين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Dear sisters and brothers, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my great pleasure to be in Newcastle today to celebrate with our students and colleagues the event of Iraq Day. While Iraq is geographically distant, it lives on in our hearts and souls. Our spirit is with our beloved country, our families, our loved ones, and our memories. Iraq is the cradle of civilization, the land of the prophets and imams, the birthplace of knowledge, and the location of the schools of Al-Mustansiriyah, Al-Kufa, Al-Basra. Iraq has been through difficult times, from the distant past of the destruction by the Mongols of the House of Wisdom and the burning of thousands of books, to the recent past when the previous regime destroyed education in general and higher education in particular. But today's Iraq has broken its chains and is striving to regain its position in the world, a position to reflect its rich heritage and contribution to civilization and humanity. Having had a taste of freedom, dignity and democracy, the people of Iraq and its government are more determined than ever to join the ranks of modern developed states. This journey will not be hindered by terrorism or racism, because we believe that the path of development and prosperity is built on knowledge and education. And so it was with this aim that the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research announced a new scholarship scheme 2 years ago to send more than 4,000 postgraduates students to study abroad. The scheme until now showed a very good progress, and hundreds of Iraqi students arrived in UK to start their studies in reputable universities. More than 1,700 students are currently studying in UK universities in different subjects. Around 70% of them are studying PhD, and the rest are studying MSc and BSc. More than 50% of the scholarships are sent to the UK because of the willingness of our students to study in the UK and the proven high standard of Iraqi-UK alumni. We are expecting more students this year and the following years, and we are liaising with more than 100 UK universities to place them. Iraq looks to its sons and daughters who were sent in the pursuit of knowledge to return home armed with skills and knowledge they gather while abroad to rebuild their country. A new Iraq awaits its doctors to heal the sick, its engineers to rebuild its homes, and all its students to contribute what they learn. The Iraqi cultural attaché has set as its goal to ensure the full support and welfare for its students. We believe in our students, and we believe that serving them means serving Iraq and preparing a new generation of Iraqi future leaders. We do all we can to ensure that you study in the best possible conditions, and we are committed to tackle any difficulties you may face. We are delighted that Newcastle University attracts such a large number of Iraqi students among other UK universities. This is partly because of the very good administration of the university and partly because of the efficiency of the academic staff in teaching and supervision. The same applied is for universities of Sunderland and Durham and Northumbria. This event of Iraq Day will also be arranged in other universities this year so that we can contribute to highly raise the name of Iraq among the academic establishment in the UK. We congratulate you on Iraq Day, and we congratulate Iraq to have such loyal sons and daughters who are eager to learn and develop for the sake of rebuilding their country. Finally, I would like to thank Newcastle University for providing the facilities and hosting this event. Also, I extend my appreciation and thanks to all supervisors of our postgraduate students. And last but not least, big thanks to our active Iraqi society in Newcastle for their amazing hard work and dedication in organizing this event. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And now a presentation about the activities of Iraqi culture attaché will be presented by Dr. Asad Al-Tibini.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to present to you a presentation about what we do in the Iraqi Culture Attaché and where we are going from now for the next steps in our work. It's a presentation about unlocking the treasure of higher education in Iraq. We'll try in this presentation to show you what you haven't heard yet, and maybe this not made to the University of Newcastle, and also for our students to take this message to your supervisors and academies and schools. The Iraqi Culture Attaché, as you know, is the official representative of the Ministry of Higher Education in the UK. And we have a department for projects and relations that I'm going to show you now what we have been working on. And by the way, the main parts of this presentation was presented in the last Buick AGM meeting, I think a few months ago. So it was presented in front of a large number of universities that we would like to share with Newcastle University. What we have been doing in the Iraqi Culture Attaché is to build bridges between Iraq and the UK in the field of higher education. Our office did what we refer to as a good job in linking the high level of officials in the two countries. Our Minister, Mr. Ali Al-Adib, the Minister of Higher Education, and the Minister of Universities, Mr. David Willits. We successfully managed to have two meetings, one last summer in June and the other one was last March this year. But what happened after, actually in July this year, a new Minister for Universities was appointed, Mr. Greg Clark, the Minister of Universities. He was appointed on the 15th of July this year. And so all the work we did with the previous minister, we had to start over again with the new minister. That was on the 15th of July, remember this date. Because our office, it took us only one day to arrange a meeting with the new minister, with a delegation came from the whole city of Karbala in Iraq. The gentleman on the right of the minister is Professor Munir, the president of Karbala University, and the gentleman on the left of the minister is the chairman of Karbala Provincial Council. So it was, as the minister said, this is the first official meeting I have while I'm in the position. So, and Iraq is the first country I had meeting with. So that's what we call achievement our office did in the field of higher education so far. Bridging the gap and building links between high-level ministers. And he promised Iraq will be on his list of collaboration international-wide. Now let's talk about the compatibility issues between Iraq and Britain. That's something I think it's important to keep in mind. Our office will be working with various universities. We have cumulative experience. We've seen what other universities have been doing, and we'd like to share with you. And in this presentation, on this slide in particular, I would like to share with you our feedback on the projects and efforts that were in place over the years, and what we think about it. Now, Iraq higher education, if you think about it as this pyramid, where the minister is the top, and you have directorates, and we have universities, and we have colleges. It's like a structure, organization. The top position comes from the top minister level, goes to the colleges, and the bottom. While in the UK, we have this. We've got universities everywhere, and it's really brave and ambitious from universities that they have the international office, and you have also the big titles of the engagement and internationalization and development, all these, this is really very good, we like it. So we have one university in this country, among the huge number of universities, and we have this center, and we would like to invade the whole world with the education and the experience you have in higher education. This is very good. Now let's compare the two systems. So exactly, yeah. Can we work together? Let's see. In the Ministry of Higher Education in Iraq, in the higher education sector in Iraq, we have, as I said, the decisions come from the top level down to all colleges and universities. While in the UK, well, everything in this country is digitized, right? We have this IT, the grid, the supercomputers, and the tradition of writing emails and relying on emails and communication, writing statistics, reports. We make visibility studies on your efforts and projects. Things are a bit different in our country. So here welcome the Iraqi Culture Attaché in London. We are the face of higher education in Iraq in this country. So we would love to see more communication between Newcastle University and our office. I can't remember when the last time was when Newcastle University visited our office, but now we are making the move. Let's hope that we will see like the top level visits to our office to work on the projects that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So speaking about the internationalization strategy, there are different, oh by the way, I spent some time trying to count how many letters in the word internationalization. I was even wondering when this word came to the English dictionary. And you guys spent too much time developing this word, like internationalization. But let's talk about how can we make a bespoke internationalization strategy when you work with Iraq. And we will prove at the end of this presentation that if you guys would like to work with Iraq, we'll guarantee you will be busy for the next 10 years, leaving the whole world just investing in higher education in Iraq. There are different organizations in this country, and in addition to the universities, British Council, the International Unit, the Quality Assurance Agency, who they have the top level team for internationalization strategy. There is David Willits, Greg Clark, and there's the Iraqi Britain Business Council, headed by Baroness Emma Nicholson. She's doing a fantastic job in linking Iraq and Britain. And there's the British Universities Iraq Consortium. Know what this is? Okay. So there are different organizations, and they all, by the way, they all work alone. Universities are, as we said, and we may agree probably, they are brave enough and ambitious enough to work with the whole world without working together. They do it now, which is good, to be honest, but we'd like to see more, and we would like to suggest something on the internationalization strategy. So, from our experience, the best way forward working with Iraq is if we can manage to propose a unified, sustainable strategy to work with Iraqi higher education, obviously through our office. And that's something we've been talking with the other universities. We established serious talk with the Iraqi British Business Council to establish a sort of proposal that we will put in writing, and we will to be handed by Mr. Clark, what's his name? Mr. Clark, the new Minister for Universities, to our new Minister of Higher Education in Iraq when he gets hopefully the position in the next few weeks maybe. So we are working on this. So if we would like to work together on the proposal, please let us know so we can work together. Now, why is it a big deal working with Iraq? Let's see what we have in Iraq to offer for you. Iraq has been into different isolation stages in the past 30 years. And we would like to see more involvement in the curricular development in different fields of study. This doesn't mean Iraq will have researchers. We have research, but we would like to see more advanced research and more advanced links with the British universities. When we propose new curricular development project, we would like to have staff development scheme, which will redefine how we send our staff, our academics from Iraqi universities to come for a short 1 month or 2 months training in the UK. If we have the project for curricular development, we need to think about the package of training for our academics in order to deliver the academic content. PhD scholarships of Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research. As research clusters, I'm focusing here on research clusters. Now, all our academics now who came to the UK to Newcastle University with master degree, they came to study PhD in Newcastle. They asked their academic supervisors in the colleges in Iraq to come to apply for PhD in well and preferably in the UK. So when they contact you, academic supervisors here, the academic supervisors will provide whatever their interest in research, in their experience in the field in the UK here. But if we think about it, if Newcastle University would like to sit with us and maybe arrange some committee to study the problems in Iraq, because Iraq is rich of oil and it is rich of research problems as well. So if, let's say if you have clusters of 5 PhD students among the 100 we have in Newcastle University, working on targeted problems in what helps the universities back home or the provinces, this will redefine how we think of the scholarships and sending them to the UK. Obviously, English language training centers is a big need in Iraq. Thank you very much to those who cheated in the TOEFL IBT, and they closed it now. We have only IELTS accepted by the UK VI and the British universities, so there's a big need for English language training centers. Now, this is my last slide, and this is talking about the big money that we can get from Iraq to build real collaboration between Iraq and Britain in higher education. As you know, as researchers, there's the framework program version 7, the FP7, which finished last year, and then we have now the Horizon 2020. It's the whole point of research in the UK here, where to get the funding source. Now we have the European Union, the Horizon 2020, we have the UK RC, Research Council, and we are talking about why don't we have an Iraqi Horizon 2020 version. And that's something not only in the dreams, I'm talking about something as we speak now. There are negotiations between the British government and Karbala, the whole city of Karbala government to allocate funding comes from the local authority in the city. In addition to funds come from the university itself, in addition to the directorates of the state ministries working in Karbala, to add together to have a fund, and we ask British companies and universities to work on clusters to develop projects in Karbala. So that's something we'd like to see Newcastle also involved in the discussions about it. The concept of twinning, which is a concept that scares British universities when we talk about it. If we think about it as if we allocate this funding, redefining the twinning concept, engaging the university in Iraq, and the local government in Iraq, in the province, and the state ministries, directorates, all together from the Iraqi side. And then we invite the British universities to apply for twinning the academies, because we would like to see more engagement. And this will lead me to the virtual research groups, which is also an idea of having a research group in the UK linked with a research group in Iraqi university, and the funding comes from Iraq, maybe in a joint fund, maybe in Iraq and the UK university, where we can work on Iraqi problems to develop our country. And finally, let's go small. We have now in the cultural attaché, we have a complete state-of-the-art video conferencing system that will be launched maybe in the next few weeks. So this is going to be a new gateway for communication, maybe to having conferences or lectures between British researchers and Iraqi academics in Iraq. So as a summary, I would like to say Iraq, it's a country that will keep you, Newcastle University, busy for the next 10 years. If you need to allocate your internationalization strategy with Iraq only, trust me, you'll forget China, you'll forget the rest of the world. You will concentrate on building this country together. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed my presentation.
I'm not obviously as distinguished as some of the other speakers. I'd like to start with an apology, actually, because my supervisor, Professor Taggart, who's the chair of reproductive medicine, was due to give this talk, and he's very apologetic that he can't be here today, and he's promised as a guarantee that he'll speak at the next meeting. So I'll let Sulaf who's another of his PhD students holding to that. So I'm a late substitution, but I hope it will all run smoothly, and I'd like to ask for no red cards, please, during the talk. And I was a bit uncertain as to what I might talk about today, because I'm probably is a similar level to many of you. I'm a student undergoing a postgraduate degree, and I know there'll be many undergraduate and postgraduate students here today. But I thought I could talk about what my journey was into becoming a researcher and doing the work that I'm doing, as I'm sure it will be very different to many of the journeys that you guys have taken. And I thought I'd also talk out of interest a little bit about my work, but I won't go into any detail. So my journey began when I was born in Birmingham, and I had my schooling all in Birmingham. And then I came to Newcastle to do my studies as a medical student. But I did a year of voluntary teaching in between coming to Newcastle, and that was actually in Israel, where I was teaching in an Arab village very near to Nazareth, and I was teaching English as a foreign language. And at that time, I did actually know a little bit of Arabic, but unfortunately I've forgotten almost everything, other than the odd phrase. And so I qualified. So I came to Newcastle, and I qualified in MBBS, which is my medical degree, in 2004. But during that degree, I'd gained an interest in research by doing an intercalated year, which was a Bachelor of Clinical Science degree at that time. And I did a year of research in the neurobiology department, looking at the effects of botulinum toxin, which was very interesting. And then after graduation, I was a little bit uncertain as to what I wanted to do, and I went into GP training initially for 2 years, but I have to say I didn't enjoy it. I think I was probably temperamentally unsuited to it, and not really knowing what I wanted to do. I did a bit more travelling again, and I worked on a voluntary basis in a hospital in Guatemala, in Central America. And then I had quite a lot of clinical exposure to maternity care, and under the supervision of some American doctors who run in the hospital, I was doing quite a lot of maternity care, taking part in cesarean sections, and I really loved it. So when I came back, I reapplied to do obstetrics and gynecology, which is the training program I'm now doing as a registrar. And then, having started that, and having had a previous taste of research, I thought I'd like to pursue research more in my career. So I went as a wee baby, as a first year registrar, I went to see one of my current supervisors, Professor Robson, who said, come back when you've got a bit more experience and done a bit more. So I went away and I did a little bit of work just at the local hospital I was working in Darlington, and produced a couple of some work that went for poster presentations like we have here today. And that was at a national maternity meeting called the BMFMS. And then having done that, I went back and pleaded a bit more to Professor Robson and applied for an academic clinical fellowship. I was unsuccessful in that. But after a bit more pleading and another interview, I managed to get a 1-year post called Clinical Research Associate. And so that gave me the chance to go for a year and work in the lab where I'm now working, and where Sulap is also a PhD student. And it gave me the opportunity to learn some lab techniques, to get back into the world of science, but also to generate some data that meant I could apply for fellowship applications to get me to where I am now. As part of that year as well, I had to be involved in some clinical research that was going on, so I had to become au fait or knowledgeable about the permission process of clinical research, the ethics, and also I had to be involved in consenting and recruiting some patients onto clinical trials that are going on in Newcastle. So after that year, I went back for 1 more year back into clinical training, but during that time, I used the data that I gathered in the lab to apply for some pretty strenuous, quite tough interviews, and not dissimilar to having Alan pointing at you. And I was thankfully successful with a charity called Wellbeing of Women, who are an obstetrics and gynecology specific charity. And I did go to the Welcome Trust, which I'm sure some of you may have heard of, but that was a very strenuous interview, unfortunately. I was probably not ready for it at that time in my career, and I was unsuccessful. So that brings me to now, in a lab doing lots of vetting. I'm currently doing an MD, and the background to my MD studies is in the subject of preterm birth. And the preterm birth is something I've become very interested in really since I started obstetrics, because trying to find ways to reduce and prevent preterm birth is one of the key research questions and key research dynamics in the field of obstetrics. And I'll talk a little bit about why through the story of this chap. So this baby is called Jack, and he's born at the RVI in Newcastle. And his story is that his mum, when she was 22, just mid through 22 weeks pregnant, that's somewhere close to 6 months, that's only really 2/3 through the pregnancy, if that, her waters broke, and she came to the RVI, and this does occur during some pregnancies, but it's always a big concern if it's that early in the pregnancy. She was started on antibiotics, and she was given steroids as well to aid the maturity of the baby's lung development. Unfortunately, during that week, there was a big concern that her and her baby may have developed an infection, which is one of the big risks when your waters have gone. And therefore, she was put through an induction process, that is, the pregnancy was started off to deliver, mostly because there was a concern about the mother, and a concern that if the infection took hold, the mother's life would be at risk. And she was counselled at the time that the prognosis for the baby at that gestation would be very, very, or could be very, very poor. Now, you'd think this might be quite an uncommon occurrence, but actually, work that we've done ourselves looking at the preterm birth rates in both England and Newcastle showed that actually up to 30% of all births can be before 37 weeks of gestation. And of the births that are really at risk, which is the 23 to 28 week, the columns on the far left, that's up to 1% in England, which is not inconsiderable. Now, Jack has gone on to do very well, and I'll show you a picture of him in a second, but you can see from this data that babies born at 23, 24, 25 weeks can do very, very badly. And the white boxes of these columns show that the percentages of babies that are born alive with no disability in 2006 at 24 weeks, that was still probably less than 30%. So, from obstetrics, one of our main research goals and one of our main research questions is finding ways to try and prolong gestation and to improve the condition of these babies when they're born at these very preterm areas. Now, thankfully, Jack has done brilliantly. It's looking great. But my study, and what's led me into science, is to look at possible compounds or possible substances that one might be able to give to pregnant women if they come in threatened preterm labour, that might be able to prolong that gestation. And it's led me into the world of science and do projects with very, very complicated titles like this. I won't go into in detail for non-scientists. And it's also, as a clinician, made me have to confront these sorts of diagrams that I can pore over at night and end up making me tear my hair out with the complexity. And it's also forced me to confront very different styles of thinking, because as a clinician, often one is much more practically minded and just does what seems to work. And going into doing this MD has made me confront that one actually needs to keep asking and looking behind what causes things and sort of asking the deeper questions. So in doing this, I've had to confront all sorts of different kinds of data, from taking pictures on a conventional microscope to producing lots and lots of graphs that at first sight might look quite meaningless to you, but the absolute bread and butter of what I'm doing. And the whole, when you're a student, and I'm sure a lot of you are confronted with this, the whole driver is towards your outputs and what you're coming out with, because at the end of the day, that's really what you're being marked on. And for me, my primary output is obviously completing my MD thesis and hopefully at the end of these 2 years being awarded my MD. But if I am, and I would like to continue my academic career, I have to think as well what else will put me out there in terms of having a more sort of national profile perhaps. I've been fortunate enough to already have an oral presentation at the Physiological Society, and having discussed with my supervisors, I'll be looking to put work in at the BMFMS, which is, and FIGO, which are obstetrics and gynecology specific meetings. And also we've been forced to think about whereabouts we might get publications once my data is more near completion. So that brings me back to where I am now, and looking forward to the future, what I might do next. Well, once my MD is completed, which is another year, I'll need to go back into clinical work and complete all of my postgraduate exams, of which I have one more part. And then looking to the future, I'd like to grow my hair a little more wildly, don't walk around in the lab coats. But there are a number of pathways that I might then be able to look for to continue a career, both academically, but also with the clinical outputs as well. But should those opportunities not arise, then I would still be able to return to the clinical pathway and complete my training as a clinician. But I also have to consider any other outputs that come along the way. And I've just spent a whole week with these two, which was much, much harder work than any of that data that I've been generating. So they certainly keep me busy enough as well. So thank you very much. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope it's been interesting.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Now Mr. Haraka will give presentation about Iraqi achievements. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello everybody, and good morning. My name is Harad. I'm a PhD student in engineering school. I would like today to talk a little bit about some Iraqi innovators. As you know, as anyone knows, that Iraq has a very wide history and a lot of pioneers. So I would like to say sorry for everyone that I will forget. Today I will talk about some selected person. The first one that we will talk about is Dr. Abdul Jabbar Abdullah. He is a professor in physics. This professor was born in 1911, and then he gets his PhD in meteorology from MIT. In 1946, during this period, he was under supervision of a most famous scientist, Albert Einstein. Then, after his graduation, returned back to Iraq to become the head of Iraqi Teacher Association, then head of Department of Physics. Finally, he became president of Baghdad University in 1960. In 1965, he was immigrated from Iraq to USA and became a scientific research visitor in National Center. Dr. Abdul Jabbar died in 1968. Zaha Hadid. She is one of famous architectural engineer in the world nowadays. She is a professor in architectural engineering. She was born in Baghdad, 1950. Now she is a professor in the University of Applied Arts in Vienna after getting her degrees from different schools, from Architectural Association School in London. Also, she was teacher in different universities in UK and USA. She is very famous, and one of her famous design was completed in London. This stadium of London was opened in 2012. Also, she completed a design for a very famous blade, Sheikh Zayed blade in Emirates. This tower in Azerbaijan was designed by Zaha also, and now there is a proposal for an Iraqi central bank in middle of Baghdad, also designed by Professor Zaha. In sociology, one of the most famous scientists in Iraqi sociology is Ali al-Wardi. Ali al-Wardi was born in 1913. He had struggled, a lot of struggles with his family, especially in his knowledge process, while his family insisted on him to learn a craft, but he was insisting to complete his study. In spite of that struggling, he succeeded to be a #1 on Iraqi Kingdom in 1950. According to his rank, he gets a scholarship. Then he succeeded to get both of master and PhD from Texas University. He devotes himself to study Ibn Khaldun theorems and the most famous dilemma to discuss the difference between nomadism and modernism. Al-Wardi left to us a lot of famous books specialized in psychology and sociology of Iraqi personality. And one of these books are most famous books for him. They were translated for a lot of international languages. I think this person is famous here in Britain more than in Iraq. He is one of famous surgeon in Imperial College. This doctor was born in Baghdad in 1960. He is one of holder of KDE-PC award. He gets his degree in medicine from Ireland, as you see here. Also gets another degree MD degree from Trinity College. Jersey awarded by Her Majesty in 2007 to be a Baron Jersey of Dublin. Finally, I would like to highlight something about this sculpture. He is Jawad Salim. Jawad Salim gets his knowledge in Paris, Rome, London, and then he graduated from University of Fine Arts. He was head of Sculpture Department, Institute of Fine Arts. Every Iraqi person knows Jawad Salim, and especially know one of his famous designs, because Salim designed the Liberty Monument. Liberty Monument nowadays is one of our capital, Baghdad, iconic. It's located in the middle of Baghdad and it's iconic to our capital. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Now we are pleased to welcome Professor Richard Davis, Pro Vice Chancellor of Engagement and Internationalization at Newcastle University, who will give a speech on behalf of Newcastle University.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, cultural attaché and colleagues. My name is Professor Richard Davis, and I am the new Pro Vice Chancellor for Engagement and Internationalisation. I'm here on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Chris Brink, and I want to extend his warmest welcome to our visitors today, Professor Al-Moussawi, the Iraqi Cultural Attaché, also to the Iraqi Student Society, And I would like to thank the Iraqi Student Society for inviting me here today to say a few words about the university. And I'd also like to thank the Iraqi Cultural Attaché for sponsoring the Iraqi Student Day today. It's a huge honour to be invited here to give my first speech. I've been Pro-Vice Chancellor for 3 weeks, so this is my 4th week, so it's an honour to be, this is my first opportunity to talk about the university and talk about what we're trying to achieve at Newcastle University. So my role is Pro-Vice Chancellor of Engagement and Internationalisation, and those words mean many different things to many different people. But it's my responsibility to coordinate what we do in engagement and partnerships with a wide range of people from the city of Newcastle, nationally and internationally. So it goes from the city all the way across the world. And it's my responsibility to help in achieving the vision of the university to be a world-class civic university. The university has had a long tradition of welcoming students from Iraq that goes back 40 years. Recent students have been extremely positive about their experiences here. We conduct a survey every year. It's called the International Student Barometer, and people are asked to comment on their experiences of Newcastle University. And I had a look at these while I was preparing a few words to see what people had said. One commented, "It was one of the best years in my life." Another said, in reference to the setting, "Beautiful, peaceful, a multicultural city." Another said it was a fantastic and great learning experience. So this is perhaps not surprising. We're a top 20 UK university, and we have over 100 students from Iraq studying in the university. So we're around 5th in the Russell Group of universities, and the Russell Group of universities are the top universities in the United Kingdom. We have over 80 scholarships from the Iraqi Higher Education Ministry. And we're one of the favourite destinations for students who want to study coming from Iraq. And that's a fantastic thing to be able to say. We're not complacent. We've got more to do. We need to be less modest at Newcastle University about our world-leading research in engineering, geography and medicine. Those are just a few of the areas that we need to be better at telling people how good we are. I hope you don't mind if I say a few more words about my own reflections on Newcastle University and why it's so special. So I've already said the university's vision is to become a world-class civic university. But what does that mean? I asked before I even applied to come to Newcastle, what does that mean? Well, we want to be world-class in applying our academic excellence in teaching and in research to intellectually demanding and hugely important challenges that society faces. So we want to make sure the research and education we carry out is relevant outside of the university campus. It's relevant to people locally and globally. So the university has set up 3 societal challenge themes. These are themes that cross large parts of the university, many different departments. They don't fit in boxes like chemistry or mathematics. They cross these areas. These societal challenge themes are in sustainability, ageing, and social renewal. These are hugely complicated, interdisciplinary questions that people face around the world. They're common to us all. I formerly worked in the oil industry. Before I became an academic, I worked for a large oil and gas company where I was trying to find solutions to problems and make the right decisions. So as someone who worked in industry, I saw the value of interacting with academics who could help me make better decisions in industry. So I totally understand and I buy into the tagline of the university, excellence with a purpose. So our roots are here in the city of Newcastle, and we have a big role in shaping its future, but we have a global outlook. We're a thriving international community within the university. We have almost 5,000 students who come from overseas. That's about 20% of our total student population. Around 30% of the academics here are international. So we really can say we're international in terms of people who are doing research and going through degrees here, and in terms of people who help exchange knowledge with them, the academic staff. We don't expect the world to come to Newcastle. We may have to go out to the rest of the world. So, in recent years, 2 branch campuses have been set up, one in Malaysia and one in Singapore. So in 2008, in Singapore, at the Singapore Institute of Technology, now you can take a degree, any one of 6 degrees from Newcastle University in various disciplines. And that has benefited over 1,300 students. In Malaysia, there is now degree programs in medicine and in biomedical sciences. And in 2014, in June of 2014, just a few months ago, the first students were graduated from that program. So these are fantastic examples of Newcastle being an international university. But I want to get back to you and the Iraqi Student Day. In times of trouble, it is so positive to spend time on good things that we're doing here in the university, in research and the exchange of knowledge in teaching. We're immensely proud to have such a vibrant group of students from Iraq studying here, and we trust that you truly benefit from the Newcastle University and Newcastle City experience. And I personally hope the memories and the experiences you take away from Newcastle University remain with you for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for coming. Is there any possibility to establish a campus for Newcastle University in Iraq similar to one in Malaysia and Singapore?
At the moment, the emphasis, because the university has a certain capacity to build new collaborations, the emphasis at the moment is with a collaboration in China with Xiamen University, where we're hoping to offer degrees in business management. So at the moment, that's the emphasis. Once the Xiamen relationship is finished, then there will be an international branch campus for each of the 3 faculties. So we have the faculty, HAS faculty, SAGE faculty, and the FMS, the medical faculty. So there is only a plan for 3, but there are many other relationships that the university is looking at. We're constantly looking to develop collaborations which help strengthen our international and global outlook and the quality of our research and education. So the short answer is there's no plans at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For honoring and awarding our students with outstanding performances, I'm pleased to invite Professor Musa Al-Musawi.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. The Iraq International I would like to present an honor shield to the Newcastle University respected guests for their help and support to the Iraq students. We'll start with our Vice Chancellor, Professor Richard Davis. thirdly with Dr. Newcastle. الأعزاء الحضور من دواعي الشرف لنا اليوم أن يتم تكريم مجموعة من الطلبة المتميزين من خلال نشر مجموعة من البحوث، وسيتم التكريم حسب عدد البحوث المنشورة. سنقوم أولا بتوزيع بعض الشهادات التقديرية مع هدايا للطلبة الذين قاموا بنشر 4 بحوث وأكثر، وحسب التسلسل الطالب رائد عباس صالح الحمداني، نزار سعد طاهر، ناصر الجابري، المعتادي، شيرين جواد كاظم، ميعاد سالم، هاني محمد، عمار جلاوي، احمد محمد السبعاوي، حارث بطري طاهر، حسن محمد علي القوطة، وراس احمد العامل. تحت عدد 2 فأكثر: زياد يوسف عبد العون، محمد عبد المطلب، جعفر حمزة، محمد مجيد، عمار وهم عاشور، أحمد الوائلي،
ترجع شي اكيد بحالك، بيضحك نهارك يا وطن ويليلك، جرحك جرحنا وانت ابونا الغالي، شي تريد اطلب منا ونسوي لك، من نطلب
مصطفى جواد،
كيفك تدلل انت وطننا نريدك ترجع الاول يا حبنا الاكبر نحبك اكثر الله اكبر نحبك اكثر الله اكبر نقف لك احنا نبوسك من جبينك ننطي كل شي وما نوفي بدينك مرت عليك ايام صعبه هوايه الله يساعد قلبك الله يعينك انشد حزمنا بزادك يا وطن كلنا نبنيك حتى نشوفك قطعه من جنه انشد حزمنا بزادك يا وطن كلنا نبنيك حتى نشوفك قطعه من جنه يا
شهادة حسن محمد علي صار الخطأ، بس شيء شهادة تقديرية. المشاركين ببحث 1 إلى 2: محمد عبد الرحمن أحمد، رائد رافع، علاء عبد الهادي، مصعب تحسين، أحمد صالح خضر، ذو الفقار علي الخفاجي، سلام نزهان أحمد، نبيل عبد الرزاق، رواء علي زاد. شكر وتقدير خاص لأعضاء الرابطة لمشاركتهم في تنظيم هذا المؤتمر، وسيتم تكريمهم بشهادات تقديرية وحسب التسلسل: عمار جلاوي، أحمد محمد السبعاوي، حافظ فخري طاهر، حسن محمد علي بقوطة، فوراس أحمد العاني، إيناس عبد العزيز ناصر، حسن الموسوي، سولاف جبار، علي قيس.
جرحك جرحنا وانت ابونا الغالي، شي تريد اطلب منا ونسوي لك، من نطلب اللي تريده كيفك تدلل، انت وطننا نريدك ترجع الاول، من نطلب اللي تريده كيفك تدلل، انت وطننا نريدك ترجع الاول، يا حبنا لك
السلام عليكم.
احنا نبوسك من جبينك، نمضي كل شي وما نوفي بدينك، مرت عليك
day-to-day Newcastle University?
Well, it's fantastic to welcome culture attaché from London to Newcastle University and the Iraqi students in organising this super day. We have more students in Newcastle University from Iraq than many other universities in the country, and it's nice that we get to celebrate the achievements of the students on this day.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
فقد أقامت الهيئة الثقافية عدة نشاطات واحتفالات سميت اليوم العراقي. أقمنا نشاطا في جامعة اليوم وآخر في جامعة نوتنغهام، واليوم احتفاليات اليوم العراقي في جامعة نيوكاسل، والذي حضرها نائب رئيس الجامعة وعدد من المشرفين وعدد من رؤساء الأقسام في الجامعة، وتكلموا عن حضارة العراق
كثيرة، أكثر من 4 بحوث خلال فترة تواجدهم في دراستهم. هذا الحدث الحقيقة يعزز علاقتنا مع الجامعات البريطانية، يرفع سمعة العراق، يبين نشاطات وزارة التعليم العالي وجهودها الحثيثة في إرسال الدراسات العليا إلى المملكة المتحدة. وبالتالي راح يعزز الإنتاج البحثي والفكري يتمتع بها هؤلاء الطلبة ويعودون يستدعين العلم والثقافة إلى بلد العراق وخدمة الجامعات العراقية وسد النقص اللي موجود. الأستاذ الدكتور مسؤول الاستشاري الثقافي في المرحلية الثقافية في
What do you think of the Iraqi day in Newcastle University today?
It's been a very interesting day, a very successful day, and I've learned a lot.
So do you recommend more Iraqi students to come to study in Newcastle University?
We are very keen for Iraqi students to come to Newcastle, and if we can develop closer links, that would be fantastic.
Do you think there will be maybe time to build relations with the Iraqi culture attaché?
I very much hope so, yes. I mean, as you saw in my presentation, I think that culture is critical to any country, and if we can help maintain and protect the culture in Iraq, then that is a small thing that we could do.
Thank you very much. Okay, excellent. Mr. Ammar, can you tell us about the Iraqi Day in Newcastle today, please?
Well, we try to arrange for this forum for the Iraqis student from Iraq to meet here and discuss their problem and show their appreciation. Yes, it is. We're here to focus on positive things to enhance our experience here in Newcastle and try to focus on the unity things and everything that reflect the culture and unite us in these difficult situations.
كيف تنظري اليوم إلى احتفالية اليوم العراقي التي حدثت في نيوكاسل يونيفرسيتي؟
والله أنا أعتقد هاي البادرة حلوة فاتحة خير علينا، لأن لأول مرة يصير لقاء بين ملحق ثقافي وبين جامعة نيوكاسل. أتوقع هاي بداية مشاريع كبيرة راح يعرفون شيء عن تاريخنا، وكانت المحاضرات من الأشخاص الموجودين محاضرات تشمل تاريخ العراق وتراثه، ونحب احنا نوجه في نقطة ضوء على تاريخنا، لأن هو جزء كبير من عندنا، وبنفس الوقت إذا احنا ما عندنا ماضي معناها ماكو مستقبل. فأحب أنوه هم الأشخاص الموجودين في جامعة نيوكاسل أن تكون بيناتهم وحدة وطنية، تصافي ومحبة، وكل ما زادت أعدادنا إن شاء الله نسوي في شيء أكبر للمستقبل. فنورتونا.
يا عراق ترجع شي أكيد بحالك، يضحك نهارك يا وطن ويليلك.
جرحك جرحنا وانت ابونا الغالي، شتريد اطلب منا ونسوي لك.
من اطلب اللي تريده كيفك تدلل، انت وطننا نريدك ارجع الاول.
من اطلب اللي تريده كيفك تدلل، انت وطننا نريدك ترجع الاول.
يا حبنا الاكبر نحبك اكثر، الله اكبر.
نحبك اكثر، الله اكبر.
نقف لك احنا نبوسك من جبينك، ننطي كل شي وما نوفي بدينك.
مرت عليك ايام صعبة هواية، الله يساعد قلبك الله يعينك.
انشد حزمنا بزادك يا وطن كلنا، نبنيك حتى نشوفك قطعة من جنة.
انشد حزمنا بزادك يا وطن كلنا، ونبنيك حتى نشوفك قطعة من جنة يا حبنا الأكبر نحبك أكثر الله أكبر نحبك أكثر الله بالقلب حبك يا وطن ظل غالي السما تدلق وانت راسك عالي
أنا عراقي وحبي لك ظل باقي من الولادة للممات ببالي
انت الامل والطيبة عايش بخيرك انت الحبيب الغالي وما نحب غيرك
انت الامل والطيبة عايش بخيرك انت الحبيب الغالي ما نحب غيرك يا حبنا الاكبر نحبك اكثر الله اكبر
نحبك اكثر الله اكبر الامل والطيبة عايش بخيرك انت الحبيب الغالي وما نحب غيرك
انت الامل والطيبة عايش بخيرك انت الحبيب الغالي ما نحب غيرك